So you lived in an apartment like this before?
Yes. Similar vibe.
And it didn't have
heat in the winter.
Okay.
And the radiator would leak onto the floor, and I'd come home and my entire rug would be soaked, and I had to use space heaters in a really dangerous way. And I actually remember heating my apartment in the kitchen while I was with the oven, which was probably the most dangerous thing
Is there a point where you think in your mind, the hell am I doing?
I literally just so badly didn't want to live at home anymore, and I was no offense, sorry mom and dad, but I just was like,
yeah, it was,
I was just ready to, and this was the first year that I was dating my boyfriend at the time, who I'm now married to.
Okay.
But yeah, it was our first year, and it was like I spent a ton of time at his house because no heat in the winter.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It really sped up the relationship, and
it
really, yeah.
And then on his end, it can't be like, hey, I'd like my alone time.
Yeah, I really
even though
would
I know
like
you
some space. Can you go back to your apartment and freeze to death?
Doesn't have heating. Yeah, no, you can't be that person.
No, you can't. That'd be a really big dick move.
It would be. It's also, I mean,
there are a lot of fights, but it was fine.
Well,
we're good now.
It does speed up the process. You're right. You want to move something, you want to expedite something.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. Like put each other in a bind. I remember I was dating somebody once, and it was like for a few months, and she was like, yeah, so I don't want to go to my family's Christmas Eve. And I was like, oh dear. Well, I guess you're coming to ours. So
because you can't be it's just
what's the alternative? Well,
I have fun spending Christmas alone.
Happy holidays. We'll see you on the 26th. Like, it's just, you can't do that. It's like, oh, well, I guess this is going to happen.
Yeah. How'd that go?
Well, you know what? We're friends now. That's good. This is great.
Nice.
She hired me for a few gigs as a teaching spoken word to students. Teaching theater to students. So
cool.
Yeah, it took about a few years, but it's just you come around. Come around. Sometimes you never come around.
That's okay too.
That is okay too. Like people are like, I don't talk to them anymore, and it's like that's probably for the best.
Yeah, you don't need to maintain all your relationships.
No.
Some people are okay to just leave behind.
Yes. Close the door behind you. Thank you for your time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had 30 things. He had like things I wish I knew before I turned 30. Mm-hmm. And he said like by the time I turned 30, he had the NBA scoring record. He had won X amount of NBA titles, and he had basically achieved gold medal. He'd achieved everything that he athletically set out to, but there were several things he's like, I wish I would have known this by the time I turned 30. And one of them was, you don't need to be friends with all your exes. And I was like,
that is,
damn, Kareem. Yeah. So you're in a house that has no heating. The floors are soaking. You're risking possibly being asphyxiated by space heaters.
Yes.
And then things blowing up with an oven on and space heaters on.
Yes.
Were you playing music at that time?
I sure was. I wrote a lot of songs then.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
It was a weird time. And I'm just really glad I don't live there anymore. I lived there for the entire year though. Like I paid rent. And
you didn't get like an escrow account at all and say, hey, like you never complained?
I complained, and I would because to get things fixed, like the heat, I would have to withhold rent until somebody came.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was, how old was I? I think I just turned 20.
Yeah.
And I just didn't, I didn't have any money. So I was just kind of like, well, I can't like get a lawyer and like,
yeah.
And the thing is like, some landlords just take advantage of that because it's like, you're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
So
what are you going to do?
I
mean, I'm sure there are at the U of M. There's like a service. There's like at the U of M they had like a building and like an office where you could go find like just a class action like just a communal lawyer.
Yeah.
And they were inundated at all times because there was so many slumlords.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, that's unfortunate.
I definitely could have done more. I think I was dealing with a lot of other things at the time.
Yeah.
So that was like,
you got to do.
I just didn't know what to do, and I was just overwhelmed. Just decided
I bet.
I'm gonna stay at my boyfriend's house.
Yeah, why not? I mean, because you have the option.
Yeah.
And then
it was good that I had the option. Yeah.
Was there ever a point where like a fight arose and you're like, man, I better figure this out quick because I'm not going back to that cold house.
And that's actually, I think maybe part of like a funny thing of our relationship is that like those moments, like we pretty much talk everything out until we've like figured it out.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's probably just because I had nowhere to go in the beginning.
There you go.
That could be maybe how we're really good at fixing stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like it's not like we don't fight. We definitely fight.
Yeah.
But we don't do like the avoiding each other thing.
Yeah, which is easy. I mean, it's like when you have the option, it's like, you know
Yeah.
what? I could stand here and deal with this fight or
I could go home to my nice heated apartment.
Yeah, exactly. Disney Plus just came on. I guess I don't need to have this conversation. It's like, let me go watch like Lady and the Tramp, like
Nope.
the new and the old version.
Nope. Yeah.
So you were writing while you had that circumstance in the apartment. What kind of music came to you while you were in that between that rock and a hard place?
Oh man. Actually, one of the happiest songs I've ever written, I wrote there, which is weird. Cold Coffee, which I did not play. I played only sad songs today.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, I don't know. I wrote. I was also going to McNally at that time.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, you went to McNally.
I went to McNally for a good half a year.
Of course you didn't have any money. Okay.
I sure didn't have any money. And yeah, that was, I met a lot of really cool people, but yeah, I could only afford a half a year.
Okay, so you went to McNally for half a year, no heat in the apartment.
Yep.
And you were writing music, but was some of the music impacted? I guess my question is do you think you would have written more music if you weren't going to McNally and you were just working like a part-time job?
I think McNally gave me that push to be like, oh, you can do this.
Okay.
Because I had a lot of really great teachers who basically were somebody outside of like my parents and friends who were like, oh, you're good. You can, this is good stuff. You should pursue this.
Yeah.
So it was nice to get some actual, I don't know, professionals who were like, oh, you should really go for it. And also I had a songwriting teacher who, when I was struggling with money at McNally, was like, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but you don't need to be here. And he's like, you don't need to worry about, like, all you need to do is actually do it. Like, go book shows, write songs.
Yeah.
You don't need a degree for songwriting.
How soon did they close up after you left?
It was the year before that so
you wouldn't have made it anyways.
I wouldn't have made it anyway. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's really good. Thank you for that advice. That was very helpful to me.
Writing was on the wall. Because when they closed up, there was a lot of students that were just left like outside the door. Yeah, they were abandoned. And like it was like, so what do you do now? Question mark?
Yeah. No, very fortunate that I just went for it.
So the most recent album is called Get It Right. The first one was the first EP. What was that called again?
The Line.
The Line. Did you write The Line during your time at McNally or after?
Yeah, I think a lot of those songs I wrote during that time, and then shortly after I left. So,
are there any other songs from that time that you haven't recorded yet?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any kind of connotations to them or kind of emotions that arise when you revisit them and you're like, oh, no, I can't deal with those ghosts? Or are you just like, they were younger songs?
Yeah, I think because during that time I was going through a lot of stuff. I had just gotten out of treatment program for an eating disorder, bulimia, and that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of songs that I'm like, that's like nobody wants to listen to a song called Always the Last Time. And it was just like,
whoa.
Yeah, just like,
but hold on a second.
Shit.
But wait a gosh darn minute. That just that title in and of itself, like if I saw that phrase and it said "Always the Last Time," coming March 2020, I'd be like, shit, y'all. I don't know if it's a song, a movie, or a podcast, but I'm gonna partake in it because "Always the Last Time" is like that's an intense phrase. That's like, oh, wow. So contrary to what you just said. I mean, I know it may be dark, but it also may be something that, may be necessary for other people to listen to.
True. And I think mostly a lot of those songs I wrote during the time that I was in it.
Yeah.
And it's hard, like I never got around to finishing it. So it's like they're kind of there, but it doesn't feel like fully. Yeah.
So my thing is, I've experienced something similar. Have you ever tried revisiting them?
Yes, and I do that with a lot of random songs. I'll just have like voice notes of, and it's like a chorus and a verse or something. Or
and what happens when you revisit it?
It becomes something really cool.
Okay,
usually.
So Always the Last Time could be something really
coming
cool.
2020.
Coming March 2020. But also the thing that just from my experience is that when you go back to it, there's an emotional tax to it, obviously, and that. I think some people don't realize it. Like, why don't you just finish those songs? And it's like, well, I have a life and my month is going great.
Yeah. Actually, I'm in a really good place right now. And maybe I don't want to sit and think about that right now.
But also, man, there's a rapper named Sage Francis that I was doing a spoken word show with years ago at St. Thomas University and University of St. Thomas. And I remember I was like this young spoken word artist, and they were like, "What's your process like?" I was like, "Man, I just rap, and then I'll write like a spoken word piece like in a few months." And I saw like Sage Francis. He was like this older, burly guy at the time, and he like kind of chuckled, and then he went up and did his thing, and they asked him about his process, and he was like, "Yeah, a lot of people have ideas, and I just tell them, wait about 2-3 years, and then start writing." And I was like, "Holy crap, huh?" I ain't got that kind of time.
Yeah.
I'm 21. I got to come up. But I thought of that when we just had the conversation about Always the Last Time, because it could be 3, 4, 5 years from now. Who knows that
I revisit it and it becomes something.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been doing a lot of that recently. Just kind of like, because I'm in a writing process right now.
Ooh.
So I'm kind of like, it's taken me a long time to, I don't know, the last few songs that I've written have taken a lot of time. And that's not, usually I'm kind of somebody who like sits down and like it usually comes very naturally. And lately it's just kind of seemed slow.
Well, from your Spotify, it looks like that, because you have the line and then you have Get It Right. And that's like it's almost like 15 or 18 songs within the span of 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of music within 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. No, it's been a lot of just kind of like, I've just been able to, that's always how it's been. So it was, but also the stuff that I've started to write now feels better than any of that. Like it feels more true to who I am now. And it's, I'm just working on a lot of stuff and, So when you say better, do you like, if we were to take like, like the merit or measurement from it, what other word would you apply to it? Does it seem more clairvoyant? Does it seem darker? Does it seem, like it has more daylight to it? Like, how would you describe the music that you're making now in comparison to the past songs you've made? I guess it has more purpose.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the word I want to use, but it kind of feels like that. It feels like it's thought out. It feels, all of my songs are very personal. But these ones almost feel more personal.
Okay.
And maybe that's just because they're new. And maybe and I feel like all artists kind of feel like that, where it's like their new stuff is like, that's the real me right there. And but I don't know. Yeah.
I guess if your current writing isn't like the current version of you, then that says something. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Yeah.
Because some people have made entire albums based off of spaces in their life, like them recalling it. I don't know how that goes. I did that once, but that can be a whole thing as well.
Yeah.
So when you say it's personal, and you're writing right now, and it's kind of stifled. It's a little tough. What about, how do you go about writing right now? Do you need like silencio in the room, or do you have to have like, you know, Quentin Tarantino in his early screenwriting days, like he needed to be in busy like coffee shops and bars and whatnot, or Dr. Seuss, he would write in the corner of a bar with a glass of wine. Like what is your environment that you need to write in?
My environment kind of has to, it depends. I have extreme ADHD, so in like a very like busy environment, that can be stimulating in a positive way, or it can be like, fuck, I'm just trying to get this idea out, and everybody keeps saying things, and I can hear all this shit going on around me. And I get that way at home sometimes because my husband works from home. Okay, and sometimes like I'll hear him like playing video games in the other room, and I'm like, God damn it, I just need to like try making art over here. God damn it.
See what I'm doing? I'm writing something personal. You're playing the Wii U. Do you ever try to put on like headphones, or like just put in headphones and kind of like not even listen to music but dead out the sound a little bit?
I haven't.
Okay.
I just kind of like I usually end up writing a lot when I'm home alone. Okay. But also I do a lot of writing in the car.
Ooh.
A lot of writing in the car.
The muse hits you when you're driving.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm working out melodies in the car all the time.
Yeah. Do you like hear them as you're driving, or do you?
I'm just singing constantly. If you drive past me in the summertime, I'm just fucking belting.
You're gonna be like one of those old grandmothers that's like, just always like humming and singing something when they're doing whatever.
No, I do it at work too. I'm like,
I think I literally heard you doing that last night when I came in to get coffee and was like upload stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm probably really annoying to people who don't have their own head.
Sing away. The thing is, you'd be surprised how often people do that like everywhere. But I think like in certain like cultures, like especially Minnesota, it might be like, could you just quiet that down right now?
Could you just keep that to yourself?
Could you just not? Well, yeah, I mean, because it's a very withdrawn, kind of, was the word for it. I can't even conjure words right now. It's a very like repressed culture. So sometimes like when you're in like Miami or like New Orleans, like people are just shouting.
Yeah.
San Francisco. Oh, God.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was just there this last spring. It's.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
So you're humming tunes, you're writing, and where do you have like an album in mind, or are you just like trying to make songs right now?
I'm just trying to make songs, but I am like, I feel like the albums kind of come together themselves. Yeah. Like my last record was just kind of like, this is a section of my life. Mm-hmm. And these were all songs that kind of, and that's, I don't know, that's how I feel like all my albums will kind of be like that. Like here's my life right now.
Here's my life right now.
Here is this chapter. Yeah. Here's the next one. But yeah, I don't know.
And then your process for recording, I mean, you have like a full-on band. Mm-hmm. Like in a lot of it, is that tough to get all these people together to get on the same page? Yes. But you did like it's 2 albums within like 2.5 years. I mean,
I'm motivated, but okay. I am I'm pretty self-driven. So like if I want to get something done,
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Okay. And I'm going to probably push myself way too hard and also like rush it a little bit, which I kind of feel like I love my last album and I love the first one. And I think that there's something to getting it out and like, getting stuff recorded. But sometimes I listen back to things and be like, but I think you're always going to do that.
Well, when I listened to it, I was listening to it for, possible like quality control, like where would you did anything like fall financially short or like quality or whatever, and it sounded like it sounded like the intent met the impact, like it was all, at least just for me as an audience member. And then I listened back to the line, and because I was like, oh, maybe that sounds like the studio quality might fall there because it was just an EP, but it sounded like, again, the intent versus met the impact.
Yep.
But real quickly, the difference between The Line and Get It Right, The Line, when I listened to it, it had more like of a Nashville echoey vibe to it. Was that what was the thought process behind that? And then why did that kind of like not appear as much in Get It Right?
Yeah. Well, I worked with different people. So actually the first, the EP we recorded in Nashville.
Well,
I thought you maybe knew that, all right?
Chicken dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we went down to Welcome to 1979.
Okay.
Which is that was a really cool experience. Worked with Chris Mara on that record, and it was all recorded to tape. And so it was, so that was more of a, and I think that was a really nice way to do my first record, because I feel like you can get, after Get It Right, it was like you're going through all these different takes of certain sections of the song. It's like you can redo or listen to 5 different takes of this one section and like pick and choose. And with tape, it's like, do you want to redo that section? Because this last section is going to be gone if you redo it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so it's like, I can redo that vocal line.
Yeah.
But the last take that I just did is gone now.
So, but you could buy more tape though. But that costs a lot of money.
But it's but you can't go over, it just goes away.
Yeah. Woof.
It's gone.
Yeah, talk about like pressure.
But it's also very like I'm a very indecisive person.
Okay.
So it was kind of nice to not have the option.
Yeah.
And just be like, yes, done. Also, we're only going to be there for 5 days, and
you knocked out The Line in 5 days?
We actually knocked it out in 3 days.
Wow.
And then the other 2 days were traveling days.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, do you ever think about going back to Nashville and doing something like that?
Yeah, I do. It's expensive to bring a whole band down there.
You brought a whole band down to Nashville? Yeah, I'm sorry I said it like that, but I'm just like, I haven't even done anything that ambitious. I'm like,
I know, that was my first record.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was really fun, and it was a really cool experience. It was my first time ever recording. And
okay.
I just went big.
You did go big. That's amazing. That's encouraging.
I was really nervous about recording my first record because it's a lot of pressure. I had been writing songs for a while, and like everybody who I knew wanted me to do something and get something out. And I was like, I don't want to just put out something that I'm not proud of.
Oh, no, nobody does. Yeah. There's no worse feeling than that.
Exactly. And so it's like, I felt like people were kind of rushing me in that way and just being like, come on, like, oh, that sounds great. You know, it would be like these like sort of demo recordings. I'd be like, no, this is not what I want to.
No. So. No, thank you. No,
I'm glad I did it the way that I did. But But even still, I look back and I'm like, I get it.
Do you think that you always will, no matter what you do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that I'm never gonna be
not critical.
Yeah, I'm never gonna be. Yeah, I'm never gonna be happy with what fully. But really, I'm never gonna be fully happy with what I make, and I think that that's something that is depressing, but also keeps me writing new stuff and keeps me motivated to improve. So. And
why did you choose the ukulele as opposed to a guitar?
I feel like the ukulele chose me.
Okay.
No, I grew up with a baritone ukulele in the house, and I just, it ended up being the thing that I was writing on. So people are always like, why did you choose that? I'm like, I don't know. I just had one.
So why did you have a baritone ukulele just lying around the house? So
my dad was a guitar teacher.
Okay.
And he would start his younger students on a baritone ukulele because it's a good way to, because it's the same, it's the 4 high strings on a guitar.
Okay.
So it is a good thing to start out on. You're getting the same familiar chord shapes, but it's smaller and easier to play.
Yeah, it does have it has a distinct sound. Like it has a little more.
It's got an open sound, which I really like because then I can kind of like finish things with my voice.
Yeah, it's a little more present. Yeah. Because when we record here, we just have the lapel mic, and it definitely picked up more of the instrument than it has for other bigger acoustic guitars.
Yeah.
So you say, so going back to your songs being personal. So for I walked in on you all playing this show at 5 Watt, and I think the song that was playing was the Without You.
Yeah.
What song is that, and who is that to?
So,
if you don't mind me saying, you don't have to say that. I shouldn't say that, but or I can. Sorry, let me rewind. What's the name of that song, and what was going on in your life when you wrote it?
So that is one of my newer songs.
Oh, okay.
And
it's not recorded yet.
It is not recorded yet.
Okay.
And I haven't even done like a video of it yet, so that's the first recorded
thing. Now you
of it.
got one.
All right. Yeah. So I wrote that this last winter, spring, and that was one of the songs that took me a long time to write. And but I wrote it during a time so last March, so spring. None of this matters. So spring.
Yeah, it does.
My husband went out of town to. He was going to do a coding boot camp in San Antonio, Texas, where his family is.
Okay.
So he went out there for about a month and a half, and so we were apart for that time, which was really hard.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, a friend of mine passed away.
Okay.
During that time, and it was a very emotional period of time, and he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I was kind of by myself, also mourning.
Yeah.
A loss of a friend, but also a loss of a role model, which I think is a different kind of. I don't know. It's a weird kind of grief because I didn't know. Like, I wouldn't say that we were close friends, but he was also somebody that motivated me to do what I do now.
Yeah.
And I remember like one of the moments where I was like, I don't think I should be doing this. Don't think I should be doing music.
Yeah.
And it was after my EP release, and I was just being really hard on myself, and it didn't go exactly the way that I wanted it to. And I told him that I felt bad about it. And he was like, why? I was like, that's dumb. And he was also like, the mistakes or the shows that you play where you, like, I don't know, the mistakes you make, and like, I'm trying to explain how he said this. They should motivate you to get better. They shouldn't motivate you to quit.
Yeah.
It was something like that.
Yeah. But
it was literally just that from him was just kind of like, and I looked up to him as a songwriter so much that it was that he literally kept me going.
Yeah.
And it's weird what somebody who, you know, you don't know very well can do. And I've had that in other situations too, where I don't know, strangers can say really impactful things. Yeah.
And it's interesting to see like how, like other things that people have gone through, how that can assist you in your process as well going forward. And so with that happening, and then you just sat down and wrote the song.
So he passed away, and that was a really intense period of time. I ended up, so I was kind of thinking about how he would write a song while I was writing the song.
Okay.
So I kind of tried to, which is an intense way to write a song. But I was thinking about like how the way he phrases things when he sings, and then I was also thinking about the fact that I was alone and my husband wasn't around, and I really missed him, and I was like, this sucks. And I was really depressed, and I had already been depressed before that, so I wrote a really, really depressing, sad song.
Well, for me, like, the strange thing is that, so I was like, it was almost like something out of like a noir film. Like I remember just getting off of something, and like I think I got off of my shift at the brewery, and I was like, oh, I got to hustle down to 5 Watt to check this thing out, because the whole thing had gone down with, you know, the other coffee shop, and there was this. It was like I thought it was like a poignant like event to get to. Yeah. I remember walking in and you were playing it, and were you playing it? Am I making this up in my head?
Yeah, I played it.
Okay. I'm trying to like make sure that I have this all correct, because sometimes. But I walked in and I swear I heard that song, and then I was you know, like. I don't smoke. I've never smoked cigarettes, but I felt like you playing that song, and I thought to myself, I think it in like frames of cinematic. If it was like a movie, and like I just for a second, it wasn't raining outside, but like that song came on, and I like thought it was raining outside, and like thought I had like a stogie in my mouth that I just threw to the ground and like stomped out, and then went to the bar and ordered a whiskey. But like,
that's the exact vibe I want.
But it's like you're alone. It's like it to me it exuded this vibe of you're alone. You're not alone in your loneliness. Like I'm alone as well. You're alone as well.
Yeah. Somebody
feels the same.
Yeah.
You're not alone in that feeling. You're not the only one feeling that way. And that's when I heard it again, I was just like, and I did I miss it on the Spotify? Like, like thing that I was going through last night.
It's not even there.
No, it's not even there.
It will be.
So with that song, my question is, because it stands so strong on its own, without a band, do you ever think just to have that be its own thing?
I'm going to do, I have some vocal harmonies that I want, specifically on the without you and the about you parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I might keep it like vocals and maybe some bass in there. And
here's another question, because some of the songs, and I know that songs can kind of present, like even like changing chords on something, they have like different personalities and different colors to them. Do you ever think to take, a collection of the songs from The Line and from Get It Right and to just do those acoustically and make like an album like, like Lena, like Unplugged or something?
Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
And that'd be super cheap too, because it's like, well,
I should definitely do that.
Don't got to go to Nashville for that.
No, sure don't.
So to kind of wrap up, and I wish we had more time, I hope that we can have you back, because there's so many other questions that I had.
Yeah.
You said your father was a music man in one of your songs. What instruments did he primarily play, and did he gravitate to? And what were I'm assuming, I guess the question is, what instruments did he play, and what were the instruments that he gravitated to?
So my dad played guitar.
Yeah. And
he still plays guitar. But that was his main instrument. He also played piano. Plays piano. I'm acting like he's not around. God.
I didn't want to ask.
Hi, Dad. Yeah. So plays piano, plays guitar, also sings.
Yeah.
And writes songs.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I get the songwriting from.
So you grew up with that in the house. You were like, all right, I guess I can do that too. It kind of gives you permission. At what point did you give yourself permission to start playing like publicly and like putting it out, or was that something that just happened right away?
I went to Perpich Art.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perpich Music High School, whatever it's called.
Music school,
art school. Yeah. So I went there, and so I was I pushed myself to perform. I still am extremely awkward on stage, but I've gotten a lot better.
Who isn't?
I know. But
yeah.
But there are painful videos that I hope are not out in the universe. There's a reason I go by Lena Elizabeth and don't tell people my last name. But
okay, fair enough.
But no, yeah. But yeah, so I performed in high school, and
that was just like part of the deal.
That was
like,
part
all
of.
Right, well, I'm going, I'm playing outward with this.
Yep.
So, not to get too down and out, but there is some type of catharsis to music that helps us with loss or helps us through, kind of the dense, dark times.
Yeah.
What are 3 go-to artists that you believe are really in tune with it, and that also like speak to you when you're going through those times?
Oh man, that's really hard.
Or songs. 3 artists or songs that directly speak to that feeling of kind of like loss, but also there's there's you're not alone in your loneliness type of deal.
You're not alone in your loneliness. Oof. Damn.
Oh, that's good.
Oh my gosh.
I'm thinking of some too right now as well.
You ever have that thing where somebody asks you what you listen to? Like, who are some artists that you listen to? And you go blank and you're like, well, I don't listen to, I don't know.
So I'll say on my end, the first thing I think of, so artist, album, or song, Janet Jackson, The Velvet Rope.
Ooh.
After she got out of her divorce, that album and like there's interludes where there's like rain.
Yeah.
And it was like the Calm app before the app.
Yeah.
Like you just listen to it and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then she like rages out, and then she gets like somber, and like then she starts to just get resentful. Like it like goes through the whole arc. But that's one as well. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Yes.
That one. Oh my God.
I love. Yeah. That's a yeah.
Would that be one of your 3 or no?
It might not be one of my 3, but
Okay.
it's definitely up there.
I'm trying to think of my 3rd right now.
When I think of like really sad songs where I like listened to them and like felt things that I have never even experienced myself, but I was like, oh. When I listened to Case of You, Joni Mitchell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like man, Blue is just like that album
Joni.
is just like, oh,
You could just tell Joni had a whole ass season.
yeah,
And then she just wrote it all down. Like when she
and
when
that's
she
the
talks
kind of
about
songwriter I want to be.
like what's that one line? You know, I wish I had a river so I could skate away. And she says like, when and ran out the best baby I ever had, or when and pushed away the best baby I ever had.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know what that meant at the time, and then I heard it again as like an adult, and I was like, I did that. Oh my God, Joni, I did that.
I know, and I listened to that album because I fell in love with that album when I was, I think, in high school, which made no sense. And it's such a like heavy album that it's like I didn't know any of that. But
you got to be acclimated to really get it.
But now, like listening to it, it's like, oh fuck, that's like
Yeah. Because
like,
as a kid, I'd be like, Mom, turn that stuff off. It's stupid.
yeah, it's like
so dumb.
why can't she just calm down? Her voice is just
And then to pull it all together, Janet Jackson sampled Joni Mitchell. Ugh, words today. Sampled Joni Mitchell on a track she made with Q-Tip, and like, oh, and she's the girl, and like they just sample that part.
Oh my God.
And then Q-Tip comes in, he says, Joni Mitchell never lies, and then like, and at that point I was like, okay, she's kind of cool.
Yeah,
maybe I'll listen to her now.
Joni's the shit.
Yeah.
I think also, I don't know why this is coming to my Moses Sumney.
Okay.
I if you've never heard that record,
Haven't, but it was suggested to me on Spotify when I was listening to the Wood Brothers.
Nice. Yeah, Wood Brothers up there too. Yeah. But yeah, I was listening to him in the car recently. I was like having a really depressing day, and I just went on a drive, and like at sunset time, and it was just like, it's just the most epic album.
What's the name of the album?
Why can't I? I'm so bad with song titles.
No,
and
it's okay.
album titles.
Yeah. Well, you remember the way they make you feel, but you know the titles are probably the most, the least important part of it. So
it's the one with "Don't Bother Calling." I'll call you. Yeah.
So Moses Sumney, Joni Mitchell, Case by You.
Case of You.
Case of You.
That's the one that I could drink a case of you.
Wow. That's poetic.
And I would still be on my feet. Still be on my
See, now I'm probably have heard that song a million times. I just don't know.
James Blake also covers it, and it's amazing. Okay. Sad.
Doesn't have to be sad, but something, that relates to that moment in time.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much.
Yeah. James Blake? No.
I like James Blake.
James Blake is.
But I haven't really, like recently, I haven't been listening to.
Oh, okay. Anybody you know locally that speaks to
that? Laura Hugo.
Okay.
If you ever have a chance to.
Laura Hugo.
Oh my gosh, you
Never
gotta
heard
get
of
her in here.
Okay.
She actually played at the 5-Watt thing.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she's the fifth member that I just couldn't like.
She does.
Yeah.
She did the Not Even a Little Bit that we all sang together.
Okay.
She also did the last cover of the Four Non-Blondes.
Four Non-Blondes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll have to.
Yeah, you gotta get her in here.
Okay.
Also, Lydia's got her. I'm doing background vocals on her for her release show, and those songs are just like, holy shit, girl.
They take a little bit out of you. We're uploading the first edited final mixes of her songs, and I'm looking at some of it, and I'm just like, yeah, shut this down, turn away, just let it upload.
I know. I've been listening to that album on repeat, just doing 3-part harmony stuff, and it's
great.
It's great, but it's like, oh man.
Yeah. Let me take a walk around the block.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So Joni Mitchell, Moses Sumney, Laura Hugo. I'm gonna be sure to check out the last two. So yeah, lastly, before we wrap up, what's the next move for you? How many songs do you like you want to make another album. You're writing. Do you hope to tour? Ooh, sorry, I'm trying to smack this fly and hit the mic. You got the best of me. Do you hope to tour or
Yes.
or what?
So I'm going on tour.
Oh.
January, I'm going to be in Texas.
Wow.
And I'm going to be just touring around Texas. And
Best
then
time.
going to New Orleans as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Yeah. My first guitar player moved down there. So
I was born in New Orleans, so
my
yeah.
gosh, okay.
No, it's one of the best cities in the world.
this is my first time, so I'm like,
Well, and as I'm listening, there also is some type of, I don't want to say twang, but there is a feel of, like Southern vibe to it. Like that's not necessarily, it's like country, like on the road, like I'm moving here. And when you have drums to it, it's kind of in the pocket versus when you play acoustically, it has like a different feel to it. But
yeah, I don't know where I got that from, but I
just came to it.
No, I just listen to a lot of stuff. But.
Yeah. Sometimes best not to know. Either way, well, best of luck on your tour, and hope to hear from you when you get back and stories and whatnot. And thank you for the time before your shift.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, all right.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. And